The Somme Valley in northern France. Lush, green, peaceful today. But bombs, blood, and trenches a century ago made these farmers' fields a muddy hellscape. This is where the Royal Newfoundland Regiment fought. This is where many died. Never to return home. But home is calling one of them back. This is Thomas Nangle, the regiment's padre, later rising to the rank of lieutenant colonel. Nangle was Newfoundland's director of war grave registrations and inquiries, the country's representative on the Imperial War Graves Commission. Nangle tracked burials of the regiment's dead. Nangle wanted a Newfoundlander repatriated, calling for an unknown soldier to be brought home from the brutal battlefields in the St. John's Daily Star in December 1920. Just like the unknown warrior entombed in Westminster Abbey in London on November 11th that same year. Nangle wanted to choose the grave himself, a secret to be known to him alone. But Nangle's dream never came to be.
It's amazing, really, when you think about the work.
Until this man picked up the torch 100 years later.
I was the one who requested the repatriation.
Frank Sullivan kick-started a chain of events that will complete Nangle's vision and the National War Memorial in St. John's in 2024.
His dream will be fulfilled on July 1st. It's amazing to me.
For Sullivan, a 40-year Navy veteran, repatriating an unknown soldier is personal. His great-uncle, Private Charles Canning, served with the Royal Newfoundland Regiment in the First World War. Killed in 1918, Canning has no known grave.
And I was in the military when Canada brought home the remains of an unknown soldier and in the foyer of Parliament buildings while he lay in state. Back in the First World War, Newfoundland was his own dominion within the British Commonwealth. In 1993, Australia brought home an unknown soldier. In 2000, Canada did. In 2004, New Zealand did. And in 2015, South Africa did. So why not Newfoundland?
The soldier brought home from Vimy Ridge is Canadian, not a Newfoundlander. That planted a seed in Sullivan.
So basically, the unknown soldier in Ottawa, God love him, doesn't represent the people of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Just as the COVID-19 pandemic stopped much of the world, Sullivan started work to repatriate an unknown soldier to Newfoundland and Labrador. A big ask, considering Canada already had one.
Now, Frank had already applied to the Veterans Affairs and got turned down to have an unknown soldier brought back to Newfoundland.
With Berkeley Lawrence, soon to be the Royal Canadian Legion's president, behind him, Sullivan was determined. Meanwhile, the Legion was working on something else, refurbishing the National War Memorial for its centennial anniversary, asking the provincial government for help.
And when we went into the meeting, we said to Frank, you can't say anything until we get our money. We get the memorial approved. So he pitched the idea to the Premier and told the Premier, you're the man to get this, make it happen. If you write a letter to the Prime Minister and to the Minister of Veterans Affairs, who knows? And here we are.
It was a meeting fellow Legionnaire Gary Brown won't forget.
I remember the Premier listening to us and turning to one of his ministers and said, make it happen.
And shortly thereafter, we got a reply back from the Minister of Veterans Affairs saying he supported the project and would give his staff any assistance we required on that project.
Still, repatriating the unknown soldier wasn't a done deal. The federal government, the provincial government, the Royal Canadian Legion needed to make a case to the organization that cares for the graves of 1.7 million soldiers in the world, the Commonwealth War Graves Commission.
They were well aware of what Newfoundland and Labrador wanted to accomplish and the reason behind it, a piece of unfinished business.
Unfinished business because Newfoundland was its own self-governing dominion of the British Empire in 1914, dragged into the First World War on August 4th, when Great Britain declared war on Germany. Newfoundland's governor, Sir Walter Davidson, promised to raise a regiment of 500 soldiers. They were known as the Blue Petits. Shipping out on the SS Florizel in October 1914. Ready for a big adventure.
And some of them thought it was a lark. Some thought, that the war would be over in a few months. That's what they believed in the beginning, and they'd get a chance to leave Newfoundland or Labrador and go overseas and see the world, and someone else will pay for it.
The regiment here, training in Scotland, transforming from a ragtag bunch into soldiers, fit for fighting. In all, about 6,200 served with the Royal Newfoundland Regiment during the war. 3,000 more were in the Naval Reserve, the Mercantile Marine, and the Forestry Unit. By the time the war ended in 1918, about 1,700 were dead after fighting for king and country.
Out of eligible males between the ages of 17 and 35 during the First World War, 35% of Newfoundlanders volunteered and served. That's over a third of our population at that time. So it's just heart-wrenching how many we've lost.
It's that sacrifice and history of independence the Commonwealth War Graves Commission considered when finally granting the request for an unknown soldier to represent all those Newfoundlanders killed.
We felt that it was a matter of justice for Newfoundlanders, and he represents those sons that never went home, those husbands, fathers, brothers that never went home, and it is a big symbol, it's a huge symbol for the Newfoundland.
All the more symbolic because the Commission says a transfer of remains like this one will likely never happen again.
If you find anything in your field, in your backyard.
Bodies of 40 to 50 soldiers from the First and Second World War are discovered every year in France.
They have this kind of shape of headstone.
When that happens, the Commonwealth War Graves Commission here in Beaurain, France, gets the call. Craftsmen here create their headstones, aiming to give every soldier an equal burial, no matter differences in military rank or life circumstance. Soldiers from foreign lands aren't repatriated. Instead, buried closest to where they fell, in cemeteries that dot the French countryside, all along what was once the Western Front.
That means we are producing here all the headstones for all cemeteries in the world.
But only one headstone on this day in late May is grabbing attention. One that will mark the spot where the unknown soldier rested for more than 100 years. The original will go to the Rooms Provincial Museum in St. John's. This replacement gives a key detail about a man little will ever be known about. His exhumation date, May 13th, 2024. Before Newfoundland's unknown soldier could be selected, historian Melissa Davidson and her colleagues with the Department of Defense's Casualty Identification Program in Ottawa had to do their homework.
So it was not only a large-scale search about the regiment itself, but also really about the men who made it up.
Normally, researchers like Davidson aim to name men killed in battle. But this time, the team is searching for a grave with a long list of candidates of who could be inside to help keep the unknown soldier's identity concealed. Sarah Lockyer spends a lot of time in cemeteries like these. She also works for the Department of National Defense and the military.
My job as Casualty Identification Coordinator is to try to identify any newly discovered skeletal remains that we think are possible Canadians who died during the First World War, the Second World War, and the conflict in Korea, so that we can identify them, bury them with their name, by their regiment, and in the presence of family.
Lockyer, a forensic archaeologist, did just that a few years back, gathering DNA that helped to identify this chap, 17-year-old Private John Lambert of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, killed in Belgium in 1917. But in the case of the unknown soldier, Lockyer is doing the opposite. No DNA samples, No pictures, no identifying the remains.
He's there to represent all Newfoundlanders. And if we know who he is, he does not represent everybody.
The pool of candidates was small, the selection process secretive. From the First World War, only about 820 men from this province, serving in all branches of the military, have no known grave. Lockyer says they had to tread carefully.
We really had to ensure that we chose a grave that had a high number of candidates of who it could be, thereby reducing the likelihood that this individual could be identified through historical or archival research.
The names of nearly 600 men from the Royal Newfoundland Regiment alone are listed on this center plaque underneath the caribou here at Beaumont Hamel. All of them have no known grave. Some of them are buried in plots with a marker that says that they are an unknown soldier from Newfoundland, but not all of them could be candidates to become the unknown soldier. There were factors ruling out even entire cemeteries.
So there's a couple of examples in this cemetery where you have two individuals buried in one grave. One is Newfoundlander and one is from another regiment. Well, if there's two individuals in that grave, we can't exhume that grave because the remains might be mixed together or anything like that. So those were immediately eliminated from contention.
In the end, only 6 graves in 3 separate cemeteries had potential to hold the unknown soldier, narrowing down the pool to about 139 missing men. And as the digging started, the team discovered a crucial clue.
So as we were exhuming the remains, we did find a Newfoundland shoulder title with the remains.
A shoulder title similar to this. This one right here was unearthed with Private Lambert in 2017, still intact after a century, now on display at the Rooms Provincial Museum in St. John's. Fully dressed, this is what a Royal Newfoundland Regiment soldier like Lambert and the unknown soldier would have looked like. This uniform even survived the regiment's bloodiest battle at Beaumont Hamel. But that's not all Lockyer and the War Graves Commission's archaeologists found.
Dirt is what was there. It was a lot of dirt. But we found the human remains. There were small pieces of cloth from the uniform, but that tends to decompose rather quickly. So it's not uncommon to find pieces, but they're usually no bigger than something along those lines. His boots were there. We found his boots as well.
Surviving scraps placed in the soldier's casket to be interred along with him at the National War Memorial in St. John's on July 1st. Something that pleases Sullivan.
Because it's part of him. Everything that we're bringing home is part of him. And is he from St. Anthony? Is he from Bjorn? Is he from Calvert on the Southern Shore or Corner Brook? Nobody will know.
If there's one thing the military knows, it's drills. Step by step, the 6 selected to carry the unknown soldier carefully rehearse every motion. Day in, day out, in the week before the soldier was transferred back into the hands of his regiment.
Well, for me, this is probably going to be the most important event in my military career, and I am very, very honored to be a part of it.
We may only get half a day at the site.
Corporal Benjamin Roberts signed up 3 years ago for the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, proud to be chosen to carry the unknown soldier as a pallbearer, and following in the footsteps of family.
My great-grandfather, Corporal John Thomas Roberts, he was a part of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment in the First World War from 1917 to 1918.
As a pallbearer, Roberts won't just carry the unknown soldier.
Well, I feel like I'm going to feel an immense amount of pride and also an immense amount of responsibility as I'm carrying this monumental casket which holds the unknown soldier.
Daniel Orich joined the regiment at 16, the same age as so many soldiers from 100 years ago. Orich will stand across from Roberts during the ceremony, linking arm in arm, supporting each other and the unknown soldier.
It's truly an honor as a Newfoundlander to be able to go out there and bring back a representation of all of the Newfoundlanders that weren't able to come back, to lay a soul to rest back here in Newfoundland. It's truly something to take at heart.
Right up into that area right there, okay?
In the classroom, it's the details, where to move and what will happen at Beaumont Hamel. For Orach and the bearer party, hours studying each part, preparing both physically and mentally for an emotional task.
I have tried to mentally fortitude myself, not to tear up, but I know that there'll be a few tears coming down.
It's a Wednesday morning in St. John's. After all the drills, all the planning, all the preparation, it's time to go to France. Leading the troop is Lieutenant Colonel Kyle Strong, the commanding officer of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment. It's a once-in-a-lifetime trip for everyone.
I'm immensely proud to say that I'm a part of this, beyond the capacity that I hold as the commanding officer.
Just like the unknown soldier, Strong experienced combat, but in a different conflict, on a different continent, in a different time.
I deployed to Afghanistan almost immediately after 9/11. Went over in January of 2002.
It was there, after heavy fighting in the mountainous east, that Strong saved the life of another, after a chopper they were in lurched violently.
A couple of people ended up being thrown out of the helicopter, and we ended up airborne again. And there was an individual who ended up basically hanging off the edge of the ramp of the helicopter. So as we regained altitude, I moved out and grabbed onto one of the soldiers along with another soldier who was on my right. And then essentially we formed a human chain behind me.
For that, Strong was awarded a medal for bravery, something he proudly wears on his chest. But he's humble about his heroism.
We had a soldier that was in danger, and everybody just, again, we acted like we were trained and we acted as a team.
Not only is Strong the leader of the modern-day regiment, but he has deep ties to the regiment of the past.
So I have a great-grandfather, Lance Corporal Aaron Strong, regimental number 2642, who I learned in 2016 served in the regiment and was wounded at Montchelpru on April 14th, 1917. It's a connection that before that time I wasn't aware of.
A connection found thanks to an old family friend, one that came with a special gift his great-grandfather left behind.
She said, I want you to go over my bottom drawer and bring out what's there. So as I opened the drawer, there were these two embroidered pieces there wrapped up in paper.
The caribou, the Royal Newfoundland Regiment's emblem, and another design, stitched by his great-grandfather's hand. For Strong, a constant reminder of his connection to his great-grandfather.
I often wonder, would he have been proud of me to have said that I was his commanding officer?
Strong's great-grandfather, Lance Corporal Aaron Strong, survived the war, meaning there's no chance he could be the unknown soldier. Still, Strong can't help but feel a connection to the one being repatriated.
That one individual represents so much more than just himself. It's the chance for people to recognize that all Newfoundlanders, regardless of what branch of the military they were in, all of them played a part. All of them had a very important role to play. And just the fact that that one individual can represent them all, it's a very small token of our appreciation for what they did.
As loved our Father, so we loved. Where one say, stood we stand.
Standing at Beaumont Hamel on the morning of May 25th stood hundreds. The Ode to Newfoundland carries across the battlefield, the anthem to the unknown soldier's journey home.
Thee, God guard thee, Newfoundland.
For the men who made this happen, it's a day they've been dreaming about for years. The first steps of that journey start with the French military, carefully laying the soldier beneath the regiment's emblem, the caribou, perched on high, looking towards enemy lines, crying out over the battlefield for all the Newfoundland blood spilled here. 5 more identical statues stand in France, Belgium, and Turkey, making up the Trail of the Caribou, marking important sites where the Royal Newfoundland Regiment fought. Lasting memorials to those killed, the brainchild of Padre Thomas Nangle, who first called for an unknown soldier to be repatriated. Laying in a casket constructed with pieces of Newfoundland birch, the unknown soldier mere meters away from the plaque to the missing, where his name is likely embossed, as Padre Jeff Payne prayed over him.
We bring you home with honor and thankfulness, the pine-clad hills to the shortened days as the starlit night, and to the windswept land of Newfoundland and Labrador.
The unknown soldier wouldn't have recognized the Canadian flag dressing his casket, dying long before Confederation or Canada's adoption of the red maple leaf. Members of his regiment slowly lift him up, linking arm in arm for a long and winding procession to the hearse. Premier Andrew Furey, the soldier's ceremonial next of kin, represents his family, embracing his own son, Mark, who at 13 isn't much younger than some of those who fought here.
It was incredibly moving, historic, special, spiritual. To see the casket again and to be standing there with my son, realizing that somebody's son, our son, collectively, is now coming home was incredibly emotional. I broke down several times.
Closing the door on the hearse, a sense of finality, and a surge of emotion for Frank Sullivan.
You requested repatriation. What was it like to witness it?
I don't know. Words fail me right now. It's a moment that I'll die with. What do you say when we're bringing a son home?
A son who is now spending his final moments on French soil. His pallbearers with another slow and steady march. Placing his casket onto a lift, loading him into a Canadian government airplane. 100 years ago, he sailed to these shores. Today, he's flying home. Near Newfoundland, an escort. 2 CF-18 fighter jets who had a special message for the unknown soldier.
It is our honor and privilege to be part of this extremely important mission today. As you enter Canadian sovereign airspace and the airspace above Newfoundland and Labrador, we are here to stand guard, escorting the remains of a true Canadian hero that gave his life more than a century ago. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. We stand on guard for thee.
Meanwhile, back in St. John's, anticipation building for the unknown soldier's arrival. Hundreds hung outside the airport gates, watching, waiting. The soldier could be connected to any one of these people, and that's why they're here. Saturday evening, in the sky above St. John's, gray cloud and fog lifted, just in time for the unknown soldier's approach. Finally, he's home. Meanwhile, across town, at the home of the regiment, on the shores of Kitty Vitty Lake, where the unknown soldier trained 100 years ago, the regiment is readying. for this moment. A long-awaited homecoming. For the last 100 years, this is where veterans, their families, and people across the province have stood to remember all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians killed in battle. This July 1st, they'll be standing here for the unknown soldier.
Welcome to our special coverage of Remembrance Day 2025. I'm Carolyn Stokes. Thank you so much for joining us. We're broadcasting on CBC Radio 1, online at cbc.ca/NL, on the CBC-NL Fast channel, and on CBC-NL's YouTube channel, as well as CBC Gem. We'll take you now to the National War Memorial in downtown St. John's, where my colleague Adam Walsh is standing by. So, Adam, it's a special day of remembrance today, but the weather has forced some changes to today's events. The parade was canceled, but the ceremony, I can see, is still taking place.
You know the story behind the light?
That's right, Carolyn. I'm just looking around me today. We're just here with the start of the ceremony. The parade was canceled for safety concerns because of the weather. But today, we're just here, and I believe Her Honor just arrived. I've got Michael Pretty with me, retired major. Michael, just what are your thoughts today, being here?
It's odd because a lot of veterans, we find November 11th difficult because it's you're reminded of all your friends who you fought with who were hurt, like yourself, and you remember those who died, like my friend Jim DeCoste and the 13 Newfoundlanders who died in Afghanistan, and the thousands in the First and Second World War. It's a hard day for veterans.
Carolyn, I will say, so the way it's working for folks listening across the province today is, the retired major and I will provide commentary in and around the
Her
events.
Honor, the Honourable Joan Marie Elward,
Lieutenant Governor to arrive. We're just hearing that now.
Lieutenant Governor of Newfoundland and Labrador, in his honor, the Honourable Carl Thompson, KC, arriving at the National War Memorial, escorted by Janice Boone, President, Newfoundland and Labrador Command, the Royal Canadian Legion.
So we're not live, right? Were you expecting that? No, I know, but I'm just saying.
Comrade Janice Boone, President, Newfoundland and Labrador Command of the Royal Canadian Legion.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
This is CBC's special broadcast of the Remembrance Day ceremony at the National War Memorial in downtown St. John's. I'm Carolyn Stokes. Adam Walsh is standing by at the National War Memorial and joins us now live. So, Adam, we talked about the weather forcing the parade to be canceled this year, but it looks like it hasn't stopped people from coming out to pay their respects and take in this ceremony. Can you talk about the number of people you're seeing there today?
Yeah, Carolyn, it's one of those November days you can get in Newfoundland and Labrador and St. John's, but even though the parade was canceled because of weather, big turnout here around the War Memorial, the National War Memorial here today. I'm here with retired Major Michael Pretty is with me, and we'll be providing commentary through the rest of the service, especially once the wreath laying starts. But sir, you're just wondering, you know, when you look around, you see the turnout year after year here. Just what does that mean to you as a veteran?
It's moving because this parade's been canceled and there's thousands of people still here, and they're doing this all over our province, hometowns, gathering to remember those who went before us, those who are serving now, and there's the ones that are going to continue to serve from this province. We've always punched above our weight in Newfoundland for service, and it's heartfelt.
So what we'll do, Carolyn, is we'll listen a little bit more now to the ceremony, and once they start laying the wreath, starting with Her Honor the Lieutenant Governor, retired Major Pretty, and I will have a bit of a discussion on the Trail to Caribou Research Group, which he is part of, and also just some bits of significance for this year around the ceremony.
The Reverend Dr. Ian Wishart, CD, Command Chaplain, Newfoundland and Labrador Command of the Royal Canadian Legion.
Bless, O God, this land of Canada, this great land and this great province, Newfoundland and Labrador. Bless, O God, the people of Canada, people drawn from everywhere, across the oceans and the continents, men and women and children, striving, struggling to live, giving thanks, giving service. May we live at peace with those around us. We give thanks for service and for sacrifice, in war and in peace, in times of prosperity, in times of struggle for daily needs. May public service be wise and honorable. Give us health and strength. Bless, O God, the people of Canada, our homes in Newfoundland and Labrador. May we be wisely led and fairly judged. Forgive our errors and our foolishness, that each of us in our own way may be of service one to another. Into your hands we commit ourselves and those who are dear to us this day. Amen.
Thank you again, Reverend Dr. Ian, for your continuing wisdom and leadership. The laying of wreaths. Official individual wreaths will first be laid by representatives of governments and uniformed services, community services, and last by the Royal Canadian Legion. Then service organizations and associations will lay wreaths by group in sequence. Any group or member of the public not currently listed on the wreath laying program will then be welcome to lay a wreath after the group of benevolent fraternal organizations and service clubs or following the ceremony. During the laying of wreaths, a processional and other music will be played by the CLB band, alternating with the singing legionnaires. For our first wreath, the Lieutenant Governor of Newfoundland and Labrador, Her Honor, the Honorable Joan Marie Aylward, ONL. Wreath Bearer, Lieutenant Commander Tony Young, CD, Aide-de-Camp.
Okay, so Michael Priddy, retired major here. As the wreath laying starts, we were having a little chat there. You heard from Reverend Wishart. You had a story you wanted to share.
Yes, so this whole thing is you asked earlier about what I felt. It's all about connections, right?
Yeah.
Connecting the past to the future and the present. And a connection with Reverend Wishart is that his dad was a doctor on a ship off of Gallipoli, and he recorded the time that the Royal Newfoundland Regiment debarked from their ships into Canada.
Our Silver Cross representative.
So that's a connection.
Ingram, daughter of Sergeant
All the, when you think of something being so far in the past, yet at the same time so connected and so close to now, it is quite powerful.
Yeah, it's this wreath laying thing. People always wonder why we do that, right? And in research, I do a lot of that. Wreaths were first given out to Olympic athletes in Greece, and it was at the end of the First World War where people needed a symbol or a method or something to remember all those men and women who died. Like the first 30 or 40 Newfoundlanders that died in World War I were naval reservists or merchant mariners, right? So it was after the First World War where the Commonwealth countries hoisted that aboard, and then other countries followed suit. So you see that today.
How many different places have you've laid wreaths in? Quite a few places, right? Can you tell us a bit about that?
So the Trail to Canada Research Group, which is we founded that, and I'm currently still the president. We've laid wreaths in 4 different continents, in about 20 countries. We have visited every Newfoundlander's grave or memorial from the First World War except for one, and that's Private Freak, who was in the British military, and he was killed in the Mesopotamia campaign and is buried in Iraq. So I haven't gotten to him yet, but oddly enough, a British friend of mine who joined the Trail to Canada Research Group has been in that cemetery visiting engineers of the British Army. So close enough, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that does it.
It's a connection.
Yeah.
It's a connection,
Well,
right?
again, another connection. What's the meaning behind all of this? As like, the years go by, but yet you've got this effort, this massive effort that goes around for the wreath laying, for the remembrance, for the research, all of it.
So it's to remember, like, my goal
for the new
in the group that I run is to make sure that every deed that every Newfoundlander and Labradorian has done in uniform, either in Newfoundland or abroad, is remembered. Groups that you see laying wreaths here today, they remember as a group, and then if you're a part of that group and you're chosen to lay that wreath, it's an honor, right? We've laid them in Alexandria, in Cairo, in Malta, in Lemnos, in Greece. At the Menin Gate, I was over there one Christmas with my family, because Christmas in Europe is different. And we went to the Menin Gate on Boxing Day. And there was me and my wife and my 2 kids and my mother and father-in-law, and a whole bunch of friends from Belgium, and that was it. So I read the Act of Remembrance, and my 2 kids, who were like 11 and 8, with my wife, laid a wreath on behalf of all Newfoundlanders to serve in foreign conflicts. So that was, and there was 10 of us, and the fire brigade buglers. And they've done that every night in the Menin Gate since the end of the First World War, except for the 39 to 45 years. Yeah.
We had news came. The remains of 4 Newfoundlanders overseas have been identified, and there's work to be done on that. But I just wonder if you could talk to me a bit about that.
Oddly enough, Dr. Lockyer, Sarah Lockyer, and did a presentation at MUN last week, and I was on the panel for that because my Uncle John went missing in Montreal, and they discussed about the forensics of it and how they identified them. So those 4 Newfoundlanders have been identified as Newfoundlanders because of what was on their uniform when they uncovered the bodies, and now she will start, once she gets more information, about probably identifying each individual body. And that's a forensic process. So you can go on the MUN 100 site, and how she does that is on there.
Yeah. It's when we get the news of 4 being identified, it's not lost on me that just meters from here, it's the tomb of the unknown soldier, and what that represents for folks. Talk like the discussions for amongst veterans, for the community, for the installation of that tomb, and what that means.
So in the original unknown soldier for the Commonwealth was there were 4 of them. They were brought into a room in England, and the king was blindfolded, and he came in and touched one of them, and that was chosen. And the significance of the unknown soldier at the time was all those mothers and husbands and wives that had lost somebody. It was a place for them to go and say, I wonder if that is my relative. It was a symbol of where they could go to see a grave, because they were all buried overseas, or there's 1,300 unknown Newfoundlanders from the First and Second World War that have no known grave. So I think that's what this is. And he was taken from Kagancourt Cemetery, and if you look at that, there's a possibility of 3 different battles over 2.5 different years. But it could be Uncle John, because Uncle John went missing about 4 kilometers from there.
And there's always for me, there's the thing I mentioned earlier too, around just how close things can be, right? Like I told you before this started, I was talking about the story of my great-grandfather, and how years later after the war, they found that there was a bullet just lodged next to his heart, an inch away, right? So there's that's at the rooms, like there's a photo of the x-ray at the rooms, but then that inch goes the other way, and these are all the stories when we look around here, and all these connections,
right? So
which is what we started with.
Cooper, Regiment number 98, stayed in Scotland after the war. Invalid at Gallipoli, wounded again at in Europe, bullet close to the heart, and he passed in Scotland, and he was buried in a grave there. And we went over last Easter and put a footstone on his grave, and there were 19 of his relatives there. And if that bullet had been 1 inch to the left or right and went through his heart as opposed to just miss it, none of them would have been there. And then this June they came here, and we took them to where his house was and the church he went to and the beach that they left off of. Yeah, so it's connections, right?
Well, I think too, I look at, when I look down at everyone formed up, right? I see folks, my former colleagues at HMCS Cabot. You've got the Crow's Nest just right there next to here. This is where the convoys from the Second World War left from. And you've got this living museum just next to the War Memorial. You go in, there's still a periscope from a German U-boat. You've got all this history of what, at the time was just a bar for folks to go to socialize before heading out on convoys in the Second World War. And it is all just here in this one area in St. John's.
It's, I'd like to say it's unique, but it's not. Yep. If you go to any community in Newfoundland, any community in rural Canada or urban Canada, you will see that connection. You will see those, the little museums that are in small towns and the historical societies that keep that alive. And you go in there and they say, oh, this is, like we're at the one place and say, well, what this is a Russian thing. And I said, no, that's a badge from the Royal Cameronians, but it looks like a Russian star, right? Yeah. So now they know that. And so last week, I get an email from somebody who saw the talk and said, I'm looking for relatives of Michael Blythe, who was killed in Gallipoli at the age of 17. I said, okay. So I went on Facebook and social media, connected to a whole bunch of Blythe's relatives. And this fella who had a coin collection, and he used to have a shop in Stephenville, a grocery store, and way back in the day. And if people couldn't afford it, he would give them credit or just give veterans food. And one veteran apparently came in, or one person came in and gave him this coin as collateral. Well, the coin is not a coin. It's Michael Blythe's medal from World War I, and he wants to give that back to the family. So that's coming to me. We're going to get it properly mounted and put the ribbon back on, because there was no ribbon with it, and we're going to present it to Michael Blythe's family.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that was like last week. So it's constantly happening where people want to have that respect and they want to have that memory because it's part of our psyche in Newfoundland, right? We talk about Beaumont Hamel, and Beaumont Hamel was 45 minutes of a 5-year war. And all those other stories, like, we finally are recognizing Gallipoli with the caribou in 2022. Yeah.
It's so you have folks who live through it, right? And years, as the years go by, it's just trying to expand what we have from it, how we remember it, how we honor it,
how we record it.
Yeah, and what it means too for you to talk about going across the country in these places. It's such a Canadian thing, a Newfoundland and Labrador thing, a Canadian thing, which when you look at what we're here for today, I mean, it's the connections of tying it all together.
Yeah. I was in Victoria, British Columbia, visiting my daughter. I served there with the PPCLI. Princess Patricia's Canadian Land Infantry.
We're in our final minutes. So.
Okay, and we put 2 footstones out there for 2 mores from Fairyland, and one was in the 3rd, the Provisional Battalion of Militia in the Louis Riel War, and he was from Newfoundland. Right, and then his son, who fought in the Second World War, is buried there. So we put a footstone on their grave. Wow. Yeah, so connections.
Michael Pretty, thank you so much for today. Thank you for being here and for talking with us and being part of this. I much appreciate it, sir.
My pleasure.
All right, so we're going to leave you, I'm Adam Walsh, we're going to leave you with the audio and also the video shots of the final bits of the ceremony here today for Remembrance Day 2025. Carolyn Stokes, I'll throw it back to you in studio. Thank you so much for today, and that's it for us here in St. John's at the National War Memorial.
Thank you so much, Adam. Wonderful conversation there as we were taking in the Remembrance Day ceremony. That was the CBC's Adam Walsh, host of The Signal, live at the National War Memorial. And that does conclude our special coverage of Remembrance Day. But the ceremony, as Adam says, continues at the National War Memorial. Coming up next on CBCNL is The Signal, starting at 12:05 Island time and ending at 12:25. But we will stay with this ceremony for a couple more minutes and then head to Ottawa for network coverage of Remembrance Day in the country's capital. Thank you so much for joining us.
And benevolent fraternal organizations and service clubs.